Alright, what's going on everyone? It's Super here and welcome to another Mortal Kombat X video. Now today we're going to be talking about Cassie Cage, and she is actually my favorite Mortal Kombat X female character. My favorite all time is Katana, but Cassie Cage is definitely my favorite Mortal Kombat X female character. So I'm here to do a breakdown. Hopefully this one is quick because I'm trying to cut back on the length of time for these tutorials. So I'm not gonna go over like literally every basics of her, but I'll go over some of my favorite things to do with her and just some general tips that I could give you guys. So here we go. Cassie Cage Hollywood is the one and only variation of Cassie that I play. I do know how to play Brawler a little bit, but all you do there is play the way you play with Hollywood, just that you add in the command grab in there. And you don't have any zoning options with, you know, the gun. Or the instant air gun at least. So, let's get started here. So, Cassie Cage is just an amazing character. She has everything you want in a character. She has amazing buttons. She has amazing mids, which is really important, especially in Mortal Kombat X. This is a forward advancing mid that leads into a great stagger string. She has one of the only invincible reversals in the game, meaning that if your opponent hits you when you're doing EX Nut Punch, the attack will actually go right through her and she won't give a damn about your attack. She just does the EX Nut Punch no matter what. So of course the only way to punish that is to block the EX Nut Punch, which is... where are you, EX Nut Punch? So the EX Nutcracker is minus 23 on block, but with the pushback makes it really hard to punish, especially online. It might not be too hard to punish in practice mode, but online it gets really hard to punish the EX Nut Punch. But if you do hit someone with the EX Nut Punch, you know, it's Mix City. Like I said, she has 50-50s, you know, she has overhead and low combo starters. She's just overall an amazing character. So let's get started here. She has an amazing down 4. It has so much range, of course. It lowers her hurt box. It's a great, you know, poke to just harass your opponent when you're around this range where, you know, you have access to her insanely good back 1. So you have the poke covered and you have the back 1 covered, which is just awesome. You have a really good down 3. It's stumpy. I didn't want to do that, Johnny. It's pretty stumpy, but you know, it gets the job done and it's pretty fast. It's her fastest poke if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back. Down 3, 7 frames. It's her fastest poke. It's a low. You know what a lot of Cassie Cages like to do is they like to do this whole string and then do a down 3 to check you with it, because this whole string is +2 on block. But let's go back to that back 1 real quick. So this is Cassie Cage right here in a nutshell. This is her offense. She has an amazing back 1 that is 10 frames or 11. It's one or the other. 11 frame back 1 that hits a little bit beyond character length. It's ridiculously good. And the best part about it is it goes into back 2-1 or back 1-2 that is an amazing stagger string, and we talked about stagger strings in the Johnny Cage tutorial, but Cassie Cage is the same thing. She has amazing options after this because this is only -3, I believe. Let's go back and check. Back 1-2 is -6, but the fact that, you know, it goes into this, and you could also do that, and you could do the EX version if people try to backdash from that. You know, it just leaves your opponent sitting there waiting for your next move. Of course, your opponent can react to you doing that and then trying to do something else and trying to be sneaky, but it's still an amazing stagger string because she just has so many options from this one particular move. So one cool thing is that the back 1-2 is actually pretty hit confirmable, meaning that you pay attention to, you know, you hitting your opponent. So if you see that this hits, you know, you cancel it into that, and if you see that your opponent blocks it, you don't do anything, or you go into this. And learning how to hit confirm this on hit and this on block, or you know, you just stop on block, is very important, because you do not want to do this on block because it is Punish City. Now the EX one is completely safe on block, you definitely do that, but the regular one, you definitely don't want to get caught with doing the cartwheel and your opponent blocks it. So moving on now to her best punish, which is either stand 1, which is 7 frames, or stand 2. So if someone does a move that is 6 frames or worse, you know, you could punish with 2-4-2, which is this string right here. It actually launches your opponent, and you could go into forward 2-4, boom, boom, easy 29%. You could actually make it a little bit better by going like that. You know, 33% into a restand situation, and look at that corner carry. We started in the mid screen, and now Johnny Cage is all the way in the corner, where Cassie Cage becomes even scarier. So those are definitely you know, good punishes. You could use 1-2-3 to punish with her stand 1 if you want to use her stand 1 instead. Really good. So now let's go into one of my favorite, actually my absolute favorite thing to do with Cassie Cage, which is her instant air guns. Now, I will probably lose games because I'm trying to do instant air guns, and I'm trying to do them now, and of course when I'm recording I can't do them, right? But the instant air guns they're easy in a way, but they're tricky at the same time. Now, you could do them very easily if you do them like high up in the air, but to get them low like this is kind of tricky, because what you have to do is pretty much slide your fingers from up to right to left. And you'll probably see my, you know, I have the button input indicator on so you guys can see how my buttons move. And it's a lot easier to do it on the PS4 pad, which is what I'm using right now. And as you guys see, that is how my button inputs look, because unless you're insanely fast, you're not going to be able to press up and then right to left, like really fast up in the air. So the best way to do it is to slide your fingers from up to right to left if you're on this side. If you're on the other side, which is my worst side, I don't really like doing instant air guns on this side because they're not crisp like they are on the other side. You want to do the same thing. As you guys see, I have a lot harder time on this side compared to the right side. And one trick that I learned is if you throw a poke, I don't know, for some reason it makes it easier. Like if you're ducking projectiles or something and you throw down 3 in there, for some reason it makes it easier to do the instant air gunshot afterwards. I don't know, it's just me, but this is pretty much how you do the instant air gunshots. Maybe someone has a better way to do it, but this is how I've been doing it. And I just haven't played Cassie in a long time, but if you're a Cassie main, of course you're gonna be crisp on these instant air gunshots. Of course you can meter burn that, and it does a good chunky 12%, and it's a really fast projectile. So instant air gunshots, my absolute favorite thing to do with Cassie Cage. Now let's move on to a little bit more of her offense. So you want to play around this area with Cassie Cage, and you want to pretty much just do this all game. And you also want to throw in these, the Baton string is really good because it goes into that. You can backdash the last part now, but the cool thing about it is you know, it goes into this overhead, and before the overhead you could actually cancel it into your special move. So if you are around this range, you could throw this out there as well. You know, you don't only have to use this one, you could throw this one out there as well, and you could go into that. For the most part, a lot of people don't know that you could backdash the last part of this specific move. So they're either going to let go of block, they're gonna get hit, or you know, the Baton is actually gonna hit them on block, which leaves you at a perfect range to, you know, start harassing again with down 4 and back 1. So, one thing that I want to talk about before I forget is her regular EX gunshots. These right here. Now, I'll show you guys different ways to close out games with those EX gunshots. not auto. Let's just keep them on always. Okay. So if your opponent has around 10% or less, and you want to close the game out with Cassie Cage, there are many ways to combo, or not combo, to guarantee EX gunshots. And as you guys see, the EX gunshots do a huge amount of chip. I don't even know how much chip that is. That's around 8% just by themselves. So if your opponent has under a certain amount of percentage, like 10, you pretty much guarantee to win if you have a bar of meter. And the way to actually get the EX gunshots to be guaranteed and your opponent can't backdash or anything, I'll actually have them set to reverse, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Stand reversal on. Is that it? Okay. So if I try to do my EX gunshots with this move, Johnny Cage could actually armor through it, but the ways in which he can't are if you use just regular back one into EX gunshots. That is guaranteed. Forward 3 into EX gunshots, and the cool thing about that one is that it's an overhead. So, you know, if your opponent does get hit by it, that's going to be around 16%. Back one, right? Yeah, back one into that is a guaranteed. And my personal favorite, the one that does the most damage, is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You know, it's a 3 hitting string that already is doing, you know, quite a bit of chip. It does like 2% chip, and then you add on the 8% chip that the EX gunshot does, 8+% chip. I don't know the exact amount, but it just does a shit ton. And that pretty much guarantees you a chip out victory if your opponent is under a certain amount of health and you have a bar of meter with Cassie Cage. And of course, if your opponent gets hit by it, it's even better. It does like 20% if you do like 1, 2, 3 into EX gunshots. So definitely wanted to show you guys that because, you know, Cassie Cage has one of those automatic win buttons if your opponent is under a certain amount of life, which is pretty fucking cool. So now let's get into some of her mix-up potential. It's pretty standard, to be honest with you guys. Like I mentioned, you want to play at this range, you want to do instant air guns, and frustrate your opponent into wanting to come up close with Cassie Cage. And the best thing about it is, of course, you have the zoning tool, right? But if your opponent is like eager trying to come in, guess what? You most likely have the better options up close as well, because you have the amazing down 4, really good down 3, and of course you have the back 1, and you have the baton string. If your opponent tries to run in, you know, you could actually catch him with back 1, 2 when he's trying to run in and full combo him. So pretty much your game plan is just stay around this area, you know, frustrate your opponent when it's in air gunshots. They do what, 7%, right? By themselves. 7% by themselves. You know, if your opponent's trying to run in and he gets clipped by them, all his stamina is going to be drained, and you're going to be in a really good situation. So once you know, establish your mid-screen presence, you could definitely start going in and start mixing up overhead and lows. And she has 2 really good strings for that. One being forward 3-4 is a 3 hitting knockdown string. You can't actually cancel it once you do the forward 3-4, but you can cancel her overhead. If you just do forward 3, you could definitely cancel it into one of her special moves. But if you commit to forward 3-4, it's just gonna do the entire string, but the string is safe, which is really good. It might be -8, something like that, but the pushback allows Cassie to stay safe. So, and it does 18%. That is no joke for just a dialed in combo string. That is no joke. 18%. You hit your opponent with a couple of those and he's almost at -50%. So mixing that up with her low attack, which is diagonal down, it's like you have to press forward and down at the same time for diagonal down, and you get her infamous low to overhead combo starter. Now this combo string right here is really good because a lot of times, you know, depending on who you play, you're going to have so many options up close that a lot of times they're going to get hit by this. Either that or they're going to get hit by this all the time because they don't want to get comboed by this, because that leads into 21% plus a restand. EX nut punch is probably 25% into a guaranteed mix-up or restand. So around this range, you know, you can still connect that. You know, this has a ton of range. And for the overhead, you are going to want to come up a little bit closer. But definitely when you're in this range, you know, it's mix-up city. And especially if you're in the corner, like that's why I told you guys, you do one corner carry combo with Cassie Cage. You're here, you know, you hard knockdown. That's not a hard knockdown, but you knock down your opponent. You know, he thinks that you're gonna go with the low. You throw in another overhead, and then you throw in one of these, and then you know, you go in for whatever you're gonna do. So that is pretty much Cassie Cage in a nutshell. You control your space with back 1-2. Instant air gunshots, the most fun thing to do with her for sure. It's so much fun to do it. And you know, you just mix in 50-50s from there. She has an invincible wake up, which could get you out of situations and is a huge comeback factor. Now I'll show you guys some of the combos. You guys have, you know, pretty much seen them. If you do get someone with this, you know, you could go in for that. Pretty standard combo. For punish, you know, you want to do this. That's 33. Corner time. In the corner, what you want to do to get like the absolute max damage is use 1-2-1 after the juggle. Like after you do the flip kick, you want to do 1-2-1, but you have to make sure you time it right, because if you do it too early, as you guys saw, both times right there, Johnny Cage actually fell out of it. But what that does is it gives you more damage, and it gives you a little bit more gravity, because this actually bumps up Johnny Cage a little bit more for you to get your 2-1 up 4, which is this move right here. You do this a couple times, and depending on what you want to do, you know, you finish it with this, and you get 2 of those, as you guys have seen me do. Or you could do 2-1 into EX Nut Punch to guarantee another mix-up. So do something like this. Not like that. Something like that. It's 38%. You know, you do the overhead, 38% plus 18%. And your opponent gets knocked down again, so you could get another mix-up. So it's pretty much Cassie Cage in a nutshell, guys. Just wanted to give you guys a little basic tutorial. If you guys have any questions, write it in the comment section. That's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. What's going on, guys? It's Super here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys subscribe or check out any of these videos linked at the top. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.